There's nothing like a Vegas hotel.
I mean, that's a pretty intense way to kick off a trip.
I've seen Vegas before, but I hadn't ever been to Fremont Street. Amazing vibe to that place. Lights, contrasty, colours. But it was also the first time I got to shoot with this camera called Venice. The actual camera that we had just been used on a major Hollywood blockbuster movie just before we got it. The pictures that that camera is delivering are absolutely stunning. They're just beautiful.
It took us about 5 hours to get to Page, and all along the way, the scenery on the drive was awesome.
That was probably the best commute to work I've ever had.
A little trek walk, about 300 yards over some little hills, and then suddenly you come into this, and it's another world. It's like being on Mars or something.
And you look up and you can see a little bit of blue sky there, and then you notice the history of the whole rock and how it's been cut out.
This is a ridiculous playground for photography, this place.
Every corner you go around, there is just another shot that you just go, wow, I need to do that, I need to film that.
Most of the stock canyons out here are busy all day, and so to be out here on our own is pretty special.
Obviously the crew have been filming some what I've seen, breathtaking images.
So it's a combination of amazing lenses that give us some really fine details and textures for the 4K of the TV, and then a camera with a really great dynamic range that will make the HDR on the TV really shine and really look good.
It's funny, on the way over I thought my gear's getting a bit sandy, and then we were in the canyon for a couple of hours.
Every time the wind gusted, the sand would blow into the canyon from above, and it was like being in a shower, only instead of water it was just this constant rain of sand.
Horseshoe Bend is a place where the first thing that came to my mind when I saw it was it's like Jurassic Park. It was almost a separate world down there.
I loved the Navajo Native American dancing, hoop dancing. The talent of those guys was just incredible.
The guy's 6 inches from the edge, it's a 3,000-foot drop or more down to the river bottom, and he's slipping and sliding on the sand and gravel and dancing, and I was really feeling nervous for him.
And then they start throwing these 15, 14 hoops around their body, jumping through them, and I cannot wait to actually see what you guys film there, because that looked pretty epic to me, and I don't use that word very often.
This place is awesome. Listen to it. There's nothing, apart from these idiots, there's nothing for, what are we, 10 miles outside of Page.
Apparently it's glamping.
Unzip the tent and it's like, ooh, the proper bed and everything else looks very nice.
I thought, I'm going to do a bit of Bear Grylls here. I'm going to take it upon myself to get that fire started, be the man.
It was fun. Everyone was around the campfire having a laugh and everything.
And then we had Dustin with us with his high-speed camera.
In my opinion, this is the best high-speed slow-motion camera in the world. It's the Phantom Flex 4K, and it is capable of doing 1,000 frames per second at 4K resolution. The image from it is just absolutely stunning. Getting a camera like this and having all of the things that you need is about $140,000. Anytime that I've ever been on set with this camera, it's always been a blast, and it's just a pleasure to have the client look over my shoulder and go, ooh, ah.
And then it got gradually colder and colder, and then the light went and it was just darkness, us and the stars, which was an awesome view, but it was so cold.
I got up, I think 2, 3 and 4 a.m. to go out and shoot the Milky Way. And the first time was good, the second time was great, and the third time was fantastic. It just looked awesome.
Very hard coming to the desert and putting on 6 jumpers and 2 sleeping bags and 4 blankets, still being cold.
Well, the Hogan's really warm in there, there's space, there's a wood burner in the middle. So it's like it got really warm once I got the fire going.
Yeah, he wussed out with a fire and, you know, an actual building rather than the wagon that I slept in.
Your other options are like the uninsulated cabins and the tents.
A bottle of water next to my bed was frozen solid this morning, so pretty cold. We slept outside in the Arctic when we did one of these fairly recently. Felt a bit colder than that.
1, 2, 3, 4 empty beds that you guys could have been sleeping in and not having your water go solid in. The nice thing about it was that the guys that ran the place put snacks out. So I went through 5 people's worth of snacks overnight. And unlike many of the hotels I've stayed in, comes with an axe.
So we've just pulled into a ranch here, about 30 minutes outside of Page. We're going to shoot some slow-mo of some hoofs in the sand, which should look pretty incredible, and then we get to taking one of them out.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited to be riding a real horse.
What's your horse's name?
Shaggy, which is pretty appropriate, because, you know, it wasn't me.
Are you feeling like a cowboy?
Do I look like a cowboy?
Do you want an honest answer?
And we started riding out through this amazing landscape of canyons and scenery.
Everywhere you look, the rock formations, the colours, it's just beautiful out there.
My inner cowboy came out that day. I've never felt so content.
But it was one of the greatest experiences of my life to actually ride that horse, but in that particular place. It was just amazing.
Quite a trek out here. Some really rough roads and a fairly long old drive bumping around, but boy oh boy was it worth it.
Rubbish. I'm going home. The light was unbelievable. It was the first day that we've had here as well. We had nice scattered clouds, which just made these really interesting kind of highlights and shadows on the ground.
How are you planning to film it?
Oh, with the biggest, widest lens that I've got.
Yeah, because the other guys are getting massages, which everyone knows you can only get massages in Page, Arizona, so it's good that they skipped this for that. If you're not dangling your legs off a precipice at least once on a trip like this, you're not really doing it right. And also, it's always interesting to see what a 1,000-foot drop looks like when you're half a foot away from the edge. It's not as bad as it looks. Well, you'd be hurt. It is a long way down though, you'd be scuppered.
I think this will look incredible on an Ambilight TV. I mean, there's so much detail and texture in the rocks. There's the blue, deep blue of the water, the reds of the rocks, all the colours. I think this is something that you really want to look at on a good quality TV.
Every single day was an adventure, and I think we are never going to forget this trip.
It's just been a trip of amazing things.
I was pretty blown away as to how much goes into just a 90-second clip.
There hasn't been a day on the shoot where I haven't at some point gone, bloody hell.
It's almost like you've thrown an experience after experience at us. Here's the big thing for the day, but you're probably going to get 50 other things that you weren't expecting around it.
We can't wait to watch what we've got up to on the Ambilight Philips TV.
I can't wait to see it all, to be honest.